What a game. What a tale of two halves. And I got 2 words for you. Caleb Foster, man. What a second half for him. What a second half by Dame Sarr, just erasing Ryan Conwell. And in the game in the first half where I couldn't believe what I was watching, not just from Duke, but from Louisville, and we'll get into that in a few minutes here. The second half response by Duke, and it's been a theme this year, but they really buried themselves this time. Their defense, it took 4 games and a half, but we're back. The defense is back, and that was just great to see.
They threw the hammer down in the second half. They outscored pretty nice offensive performance too, 46-26 in the second half. They limit them to 26 points. You know, that's like 2 halves is 52 points. That's insane at home.
Yeah, yes. And at the same time, you know, we can go back and forth on this. They gave up 47 points in the first half. They were on pace to give up the most points they had all year. I would love to be a fly on the wall and just get to see or get to hear what was said at halftime. Because the way they came out, and it was apparent immediately that they were playing at a higher level defensively. And then once Dame Sarr came in and they started face guarding Conwell, it went to another level defensively. For a guy, we'll get to the stats, but for a guy I think finished with 4 points in a different way. We talked about this before we got on. It was like a Malik Brown-esque performance by Dame Sarr in the sense that statistically you wouldn't, if you just saw the box score, you would think, you know, Foster, Evans, Cam, they carried us, and they did. But Dame Sarr changed this game with his defense on Ryan Conwell.
Completely changed the whole flow of the offense for Louisville. It was incredible, but it was just talk about a tale of two halves. In that first half, it looked as if Louisville was doing everything to let us win, and we were incapable of doing anything well in the first half. And then combined with the refs were just don't like to complain about them, but if you're going to get called for a technical when someone puts their head into your chest and you don't expect at least some modest, he just swatted him away, Gangba. After the guy puts his head in his chest, and each player is assessed a
dead ball technical.
It's just incredible, some of the calls by the refs. The whole first half was just an ugly thing to watch. And then afterwards, the Duke defense in the second half was just beyond impressive.
Man, when I saw what Cason Pryor did, my first thought was Zinedine Zidane. For those of you guys who remember the World Cup, I haven't seen somebody in basketball do that before. And then we didn't. The funny part, I want to just spend 1 minute on that, because the funny part is we don't see what happened, right? We're coming back from the commercial break, and then all of a sudden they're like, we got a review for flagrant. And we're like, what could have happened? You know, they weren't even playing. And then you see Pryor, and he's like, you know, making this motion like he got hit in the face. And we're like, what could have happened? They didn't even play yet. And then you see the replay. He puts his head in Gangba's chest, and Gangba, like, guides it out of his. And what is he supposed to do? I still can't believe that was double text. Now, Gangba, he did get frustrated after that. He tried to score. He missed. Then he picks up his 3rd foul out of frustration. That hurt Duke. But I think the story of the second half is very clear, and we're going to spend a lot of time on that. But let's back up a little bit and spend a couple minutes on the first half, because that was ugly. And I know you said, and rightfully so, that Louisville, especially the last 5-6 minutes of the second half, felt like they were doing everything they could to let Duke back into the game, and Duke wasn't taking advantage of it.
In the first half.
The last 5-6 minutes of the first half is what I was saying, yeah. And they were doing everything they could, and Duke, I kind of took advantage of it because it felt like Duke should have been down 20 instead of 9. But going back to the very beginning of the game, same starting lineup. I mean, I'll get to what I had said in the preview later. I like the fact that the first 2 possessions, Gangba was aggressive. He looked to shoot. They got him a post up early on a smaller player. He got fouled. But, they start off in the zone. Conwell gets an open 3. Then Gangba's in drop. Foster gets caught on a screen. Conwell gets another open 3. We just gave in particular Conwell a couple of good looks, I should say, early on, and then he got a rhythm. And you can't give a scorer like that, a good shooter like that, rhythm. We really saw that in the Texas Tech game when we gave Anderson a little bit of a rhythm. He got fouled. He went to the line. Once you give a scorer like that some life, typically it's going to be a tough night for you, I guess, unless you got somebody like Dame Sarr, who's going to just erase you from the game. But Duke is, they fight back. They're down 9-3. Then it's 12-12. You're like, okay, they took the first punch. 5 minutes in, they're all right, And then Louisville goes on a 12-2 run after that, in which Ali Khalifa, it's 3 of 3 threes. And the first one, there's no way he tried to bank that in. But he did nail the next 2, and 2 more after that, in fairness.
And didn't he get one at the at the end of the game?
Yes.
Right. So he had 5 for the season
and 5 in this game. Yeah, he sure did.
This whole game was bizarre in the first half for one set of reasons, and equally bizarre in the second half in a good way for us Duke fans, that the hammer was just laid down, and they fought, to get it back to like a tie game. They were up 1, then Louisville quickly scored 5 points, and Louisville was back up 1, and that was all about 10 minutes in. Mm-hmm. And then Duke's outscored them 25-13. And even that bizarre, what was it, the length of the court winds up with Sarr.
Okay. Foster, they're pressing Foster. They got him in a trap. 2 guys are on him. Nobody really comes back to help him, which I guess that's one of the benefits of the 2-guard lineup. Like Caden would be there, but everyone else was up the court. So Foster's got to pass the ball basically full court or 2/3 of the court, and it's going out of bounds. It's another Dame Sarr thing that doesn't show up in the box score because he saves that ball.
Yep.
Finds Malik. Malik finds Cam. And what could have been a momentum changer for Louisville, Duke stays with the ball and ends up with an easy 2 by Cam. I just want to go back to the first half. Isaiah early on kept us in it, and then Cam later in the second half with a bunch of buckets. His defense was not good in the first half.
Nope.
The effort wasn't there. It was much better in the second half, I thought. And then also for Duke, throughout this game, especially the first half, it just felt like it wasn't going to be Duke's night. You had Khalifa banking in the 3, the double technical, the double technical, and then how many Duke 3s in this one? I know they ended up like 30%, and I like the fact, by the way,
in the second half.
In the second half, they stopped settling for them, but I felt like in the first half there was like 5 3-pointers that were in and out. And there's that sequence where they got 3 offensive rebounds, and like 2 of the ones were in and out. They were like in the rim and rolling out.
Evans at one point says, "What do I got to do?"
Yeah,
the ball was there were 2 at least.
But speaking of Evans, who let me know in the chat who saw when he got the and one, and then he points at the camera and he's tapping on his wrist. I mean that was a great moment. That was a great moment. But look, for Duke in this one, it was a 3-man scoring group of Evans, Cam Boozer, and Caleb Foster. And Caleb Foster,
20 points.
20 points, and it was just bullying the Louisville guards.
And because his came on what? What was he in shooting?
We'll
9 for 12,
we'll
something.
pull up the
Something like that.
stats. We'll pull up
Okay,
the stats.
but I mean, but those were Foster had 9 of 13 in shooting, 0 for 2 for 3. All right, 2 for 6 from the free throw line, and yes, you all know I'm on this. After last game, shooting 23 for 25, we shoot 68%, 19 for 28. So we could have picked up at least 3 or 4 points there. But Foster, nine for him to go 9 for 13, and most of those are drives to the basket, and just a phenomenal night for him. And, because you kind of expect Cam to give us 27, you kind of expect Evans to be capable of 23, but for Caleb to deliver 20 was just great, and 4 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal, but 3 turnovers. We had 12 turnovers. It wasn't awful, but
hold on. The thing that when you said that jumped out to me,
yeah,
9 assists for Duke, which is very unlike Duke, to 12 turnovers. So we have a negative assist turnover ratio. I believe Jay Billis said at the half, Duke had 2 assists at the half, and they got a few more, 7 in the second half, but with the amount of ISO plays, Evans, a few of his threes were transition pull-ups that he hit.
Right, we only hit 7 threes, so threes, could...
7 threes, by the way, all from Cam Boozer and Evans. No one else hit one. No one else. It was a tremendous performance by our 3-man scoring trio. And then it was a great defensive performance, especially in the second half, by our 2 best defenders, Ndame Sarr and Malik Brown. And I said before I would get to the starting lineup that I had brought up as a theory, right? Bring in Sarr for Foster, and I think it's very obvious. The answer is bring in Sarr for Caden Boozer. But if I'm Coach Shire going into the SMU game, I'm also having Brown start for Gangba and trying to wake him up a little bit. And more importantly for the team, get our best defenders out there to start the game. Don't let these guys, like SMU has a tremendous starting 5, and they play really well together, and they can shoot the ball. At least they shot the ball really well against North Carolina. You want to start off on a good start defensively. Malik Brown in this game, I didn't think had his best stuff in the first half, but in the second half was phenomenal.
Just classic Malik.
Yeah, 8 rebounds for him, 3 steals, a block. He had a couple offensive rebounds. He had a number of deflections. His block, another thing that felt like it was going to be Louisville's night, it seemed like every time Duke had a deflection or a block in this instance, the ball somehow ended up with a Louisville bucket, or not just a 2, a lot of times a 3. So just a really gutty, gritty team win. In the first half, what I wrote down was no competitive toughness. They gave up so many open threes. They let Conwell get a rhythm. And the second half, and I also felt like there was a couple of times where Foster and Caden didn't fight over screens, well enough, which is a combination of Cam or Gangba being too deep in drops. It's a combination of the big and the guard. The second half, they completely flipped that on its head. And they played tough, gritty defense, which led to a much better offensive performance. They put up, 40 points in each half, right? Offensively. It was a really good offensive game. Oh, no, they finished 38 in the first half.
Well, close enough to 40, but, the assist-to-turnover ratio, they had 9 assists, as you spoke, Jack, but they had 12 turnovers.
Yep.
And the only thing that sort of erased that was they had 11 steals for the game, which was, that also is this great defense, but also sloppiness by Louisville there.
Yeah, and I mean, for Louisville, they end up 12 of 38 from three. I think they started the game like 7 of 8 or 7 of 9. Conwell finished with 24 points. He was right around 20 at the half.
I think he had 15 at the half.
15 at the half.
15
okay.
at the half.
You got a few free throws. All right. Dominic Sarr did a tremendous job on him. And then McNeely only had 6 points. I was kind of surprised that they took him out, but I think part of it was Foster was getting a bunch of layups on him. So they wanted to get some more defense out there. But by doing so, I thought it was a poor coaching decision because who else was going to shoot for them? And they needed to get threes, and they didn't even have their next best three-point shooter, Khalifa, in the game at that point. So,
Also, their assist to turnover ratio was almost even at 13-14, which is not good. You usually want it 2-1. And they also had 7 steals on Duke. So it's just at times not the most well-played game.
No. I mean, I know if you looked at the box score, it was 47-38 at the end of the first half. But there was a lot of ugly basketball in there. There just was. So, all right. I somehow have to give out medals because there are 5 guys for Duke who played really well in this one. And this is almost impossible to do. But I'm going to go gold Caleb Foster because he took over in the second half. He was phenomenal. And then this is where it gets tricky because you've got Evans with what he did, scoring the ball and defending. You got Cam doing what, he always does. And then you got Dame Sarr. And that's where I think I'm going for the silver. I'm going Dame Sarr. I know he had 4 points. I know Cam. I know. But Dame Sarr, if Dame Sarr doesn't guard Ryan Conwell in the way he did, Duke doesn't win the game. So I'm going Dame Sarr, silver, and I'm going Isaiah Evans, bronze. I think Isaiah Evans, he combined his offense with defense. And Cam, for as great as he was scoring the ball in the first half, he gave up a bunch of points again. Now, he's better in the second half. But, and always, as always, Cam is graded on a different scale. He just is. He's just... If his name was Caden, he'd be getting a medal today. But it's not. It's Cameron Boozer. And so he's just graded differently. I think he would appreciate that if he were ever to watch the show. So any final thoughts before we head to the chat? Oh, no. I got one. If you're out there, make sure to like us on here. It helps with the algorithm. Drop your comments in the chat. We're going to get to everybody and subscribe to the channel. We do this for every Duke game. Sorry, go ahead.
No, it's been so much fun, but I think, part of why people tune in here to this channel is the chat because we love to read everyone's comments. So let's do it.
All right. Nice. We got a bunch of you guys in here with us. That's awesome. ACBC says, what a statement win. Foster MVP. I got one.
There we go.
We need Foster to be consistent every game and improve his free throws, but otherwise he's been awesome. If he can improve his free throws, he would be one of the best guards in the ACC. And Duke Hoops says facts. I can't say the rest, but I agree with I agree with everything you guys said right there.
Have you also noticed that he's put on 7 to 10 pounds,
8 pounds
of muscle. I mean, his arms are not at those skinny arms that they used to be, so he can do a little bit of bully ball if he has the size advantage.
A little bit?
Well, no.
There's a lot of that today.
All right.
He was hitting that shoulder into people. He was saying, "Get off me." It was like a mini Giannis out there.
Really mini.
Well, he's 6'4", But, he's putting the shoulder in people. ACBC says, is this our first double-digit quad 1 win? I'm thinking through it. I think you're right, ACBC, because Arkansas was 9 points. And then Michigan State. I don't know if Florida still is quad one. I think it is. Michigan State was not. Florida certainly was not. I don't think Texas was quad two. Am I missing anybody?
No, but let us know in the chat.
Yeah, if I'm wrong, let us know. ACBC says, I guess we were starting to learn how to put teams away. Yeah, I mean, I guess. Part of it if we could adjust the formula to not be down by 12 and down by 9 at the end of the half, that'd be better. But, man. Yeah. Joe M., what's going on, Joe? Caleb Foster was getting good at the Yum Center. He sure was. And ACBC says, another big game coming up.
Yep.
GMAD. What an ugly first half. If you can't play defense and you can't play offense, that's a good recipe for losing a game. And let me just finish with GMAT here. That was a very ugly first half. Oh, no, same comment. It's weird. Early on this season, we struggled with offense, but won with defense. And then lately, we've been struggling on defense, managing to win with offense. And in the second half of this game was the first time all year? Really? Maybe not all year, but in a while for sure, where we put it together. We had a really good offensive performance and an amazing defensive performance.
Against a highly ranked team, although they were missing one player, but they were home, so okay. And they knew they had to win, and they came out and scored 47 points in the first half.
Yeah. And ACBC says, our second half defense is so much better. This is the start of better defense. I hope this is the start of better defense to come. Right there with you. Really impressed at how we handled their bigs. I'm not sure I'm quite there with you because Khalifa, I may have set a career high with threes in this one. Now, Frew did nothing. And I can't, the amount of nothing he did was maybe a little surprising. But I did say in the preview, while he blocks 1.5 per game, he's not a true rim protector. So, and Foster apparently was very well aware of that because he kept driving in there and no one was coming to help their guards. I'm going to need you to pitch in tonight, JD. There's a lot.
We got a lot here.
Go here.
Joe M., the first half defense wasn't pretty. Yes. Too many open shots at the perimeter. Amazing defensive adjustment by Shire for having Sar guard Conwell. Changed the entire game. It was a brilliant move. GMAT.
We got that one.
Okay. Where do you want?
Duke Hoops.
Duke Hoops. Break it down, guys.
Appreciate you, Duke Hoops. Oh, wait, before we read Laura, this has been like 4 times this year, but shout out to Laura, who's been the conductor of the Caleb Foster bandwagon. So shout out to you, Laura. This was your game. Go ahead.
Duke has done this the past 3 times at Louisville. Duke has had to come back from being behind in the first half. It is not how you begin the game, it is how you end the game. That is absolutely true, except that the beginning of this game was so ugly that I didn't know it could have the kind of turnaround that you're suggesting there, which is absolutely true. It's how do you play at the end of the game, and they just threw the, I've said it 3 times now, they threw the hammer down. Their defense was insane.
Yeah, they did. And I remember last year we were down, and it was actually, Flag comes out of the game last year, I think had foul trouble, and we went on a run without him. It was like Gillis and Malik in that one. And then the big comeback when Duke was down 22 points with 10 minutes to go. The Zion year, they win that one. Louisville fans must have nightmares when they're up by double digits against Duke. Swisher, what's going on, man? I didn't think they would shoot like the 2015 Golden State Warriors in the second half. Yeah, they had a rough shooting performance. Wes and Susan, what's going on? C. Foss had a great game we needed from him. We sure did. Jeremy Farrell, how's it going? Foster was amazing MVP. Duke defense really came back on the second half. Duke's playing old school Duke ball. I think this was my favorite Duke game because the first half, and it wasn't just, to be clear, it's not just how bad they played in the first half, it's how they had played in the 4 games prior, which said to me, like, man, where is it going to come from? And the way that they were able to turn this around with their defense, this was an awesome performance. Joe M. says he loves the French national soccer team.
Wait, explain that one to me.
Zidane, who's the headbutt guy. Do you remember this? You may not remember this.
You told me that, yes.
So he got a red card in the World Cup final for headbutting a guy. That's what Pryor reminded me of. I haven't seen that. Blue Devil. This is the Caleb Foster we all been waiting for. Great confidence boost game for him. Yeah,
it's been building.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It feels like every couple of games, it's like, man, that was the best Caleb Foster game. Michigan State, Arkansas. Now this one, he's had a really awesome year. He really has.
All the credit goes to Laura.
Yep, agreed. Swisher, I honestly think if Duke had more games like these last year with the team last year, Houston loses that game. They shot like 2015 Warriors that first half. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, I mean, it's really good for Duke that they've been tested like this. I agree with you. Like, it's going to help them because once you get to March and the caliber of teams, forget March. Once we get to February and you have to play Michigan, it's the caliber of opponents. You're not going to be able to win games by double digits. It's just not going to happen. So I like it. Laura says Duke is now 6-4 against Louisville on their home court. Good stat.
Should we move the Duke home game to Louisville?
Well, I don't know what Duke is at home against Louisville. It could be much better than that. Swisher says, really, you can't be mad with their big dude shooting 5 threes. Yeah, I hear you, Swisher. I understand. I understood the philosophy. It's what I would have done as well. And after he banked in the first one, I would have told him to shoot another one. But after he made the second one, I probably would have made an adjustment, and certainly after the third. And what it reminded me of, to a lesser extent, was Melvin Council. When Melvin Council for Kansas won the game at NC State, I think he finished with 10 threes in that one and had 8 in the previous 10 games. So I understand, like, you come into the game with the philosophy, and with Khalifa, you don't want to let him pass because he's really good at finding the cutters. But, maybe you make an adjustment there. Yeah, really, really good number of. We appreciate all you guys in the chat with us here.
We're staying on.
Yeah,
that was fun.
That was awesome. The Jeff Clinton, what's going on? What in the world did Shire say to the team at halftime? Must have been the best halftime speech ever. I would have loved to hear it. I'm right there with you, Jeff. It's funny. I put on my Tatum jersey at halftime. I thought we needed a little more juice. And I always remember, Tatum going back to the Virginia game and Coach K calling him a soft, I can't say the next word, kid from St. Louis. And he had like 2 or 4 points at the half. He goes on, has a big second half, and they win the game. So, yeah.
At that point, since we're going to be on for a while, if anyone catches Shire's post-game interview, please put it in the chat if you pick up anything. Love to hear what he said. He'll start with, I love my boys, toughness in the second half. They really came back. It was really good. I really, as opposed to, I went into the locker room and I just yelled at him.
You missed one part, though. He's going to say, I really got to help them more. I got to help them. The first half, that's on me. I got to figure out how to help our guys get out to better starts. But let us know what he says. And then Swisher and Joe M talking about Ali Khalifa. that dude shoots 27% from three, and he went 5 for 5 tonight. Yeah, I'm with you, Swisher. Like, and Joe M says, how about Khalifa? Can't believe he was making all those shots. I couldn't believe it either. Like, it was one of the many things that felt like this was not going to be Duke's night. It was one of many, and the fact that Duke wins this game, not only wins it, but wins it going away, says a lot about this team.
Completely. This was because Louisville lost the game on the West Coast.
Yep.
They were coming home and they had, they had a chance to win and win against the number 6 ranked team. This was an important win for them, and they were probably, as ugly as it was in the first half, feeling pretty good at halftime. So, great win, just great win.
And the Coach Pat Kelsey put out a message calling all Louisville students and fans come out to the game. I don't think he does that for every game. GMAT. Foster had a good second half. Painful that we went right back to poor free throw shooting, though. Yeah.
We're going to forgive him tonight. We're going to just say, okay, you carried us, but, do I wish he would... when he went to the line for the front end of a one-on-one, and he would go nothing but net, and then miss the next one, and I go, okay, that's fine.
You said he could miss the next one now. Yeah. Reed, go ahead with Lawrence.
Lawrence Friedman. How you doing? I'm starting to see a correlation between Caden's playing time and our defensive performance. You sure do. And I think Jack has already said this is a change in the starting lineup that he'd like to see in the SMU game.
Yeah.
Duke Hoops, March Madness, now 6-1 in quad 1 matchups. I count the Tennessee game as an official win because it felt like nothing like an exhibition. Good point. Swisher, yeah, Sarr and Brown in the second half were beautiful. And Cam isn't Duke's only option. Evans is starting to show up. That's 2 games in a row, right?
2 games in a row. He's starting to give us a consistent Robin to Cam's Batman, and that's really helpful now. Moving forward, it'd be probably a little bit better if it wasn't 3 guys with 20 points and then the next with 4. You want a little more balance, and I think we'll get it. Gongba's going to figure it out. He will. And maybe we get a little more from Sarr. I think Hamenia, we saw a little bit more of the Hamenia from old in the first half, a little more hustle, but he's not right now. And I think it's good he'll get a little time off.
I'm going to have to help Nick a little bit more.
Let's see. Mike Stramaglio. What's going on, Mike? Go Duke. Hats off to Louisville for a good game. Yeah, respect to Louisville. Listen, preseason, I said this was going to be the second best team in the ACC.
Yeah, and you actually targeted this as our loss.
Yes.
And have since amended that.
We'll save that for later on. We'll save that part. Right now, I'm feeling good. Swisher says, I respect Louisville. ACBC says, I like the Louisville coach. He seems pretty respectful and not screaming at the refs on the sidelines. I like Coach Kelsey, too. He's done a tremendous job considering where Louisville was before. I mean, they had like 10 wins in the 2 years prior to him taking over. And last year, he had like 26 wins or something. So he more than doubled it in 1 year. He's really changed that program. And it's good for the conference, which is what Duke needs.
And it's good for when Louisville plays Kentucky.
It's good for, yes, we don't like Kentucky here, so,
Not a Kentucky.
And speaking of that, Swisher says fans are much more tolerable than UNC and Kentucky fans. Agreed.
Got that right.
If there's any Louisville fans here, listen, I'm really looking forward to Mikael Brown being back in the rematch in Cameron. I think that's going to be a great game. I think it's going to be much better played than the first half of this one. I'll leave it at that. Wes and Susan, Caden needs to come off the bench. Saar needs to be back in the starting lineup, and ACBC agrees. I agree. I think a lot of people agree. GMAT, that was such a painful experience, or sequence, though, when we missed 4 3-pointers in a row, that one possession in the first half. Nobody could score. That was horrible. Yeah, that's a great moment to bring up in the sense of Louisville had so many chances to stretch out the lead, because I think even after we missed all those, they didn't score.
Well, right, and we also had so many chances in that half to close the gap.
And
only to give it away. So that was a painful sequence.
Mike Stramaglio says quality road win. Agreed. Really good road win. ACBC says Louisville fans are more tolerable, but I won't forget a student who pointed the middle finger at Cam Reddish. Saw that in the replay. That was crazy. Yeah, there's Duke fans. Let's be, I don't know if I'm sure you guys remember when the one that sticks out in my mind is the Crazies were chanting at Jeff Capel, and Coach K, called a break in the action, and he went on the microphone. And he said he's one of us. So Crazies aren't always perfect. So I think for the most part they're pretty good. Swisher says if Foster is going to be driving and drawing fouls, he needs to get better at the line. Agreed.
Yep.
But man, he was awesome.
The funny thing about Foster is that his free throw shot, when it goes in, and you also see this on his 3-point shot, he has a very good stroke. So this is just like last game when we shot 23 of 25. There is something mentally going on there when he gets to the free throw line.
And was it Michigan State? There was a game where he went perfect from the line in big moments. So he has it in him. He certainly does. ACBC. Caden needs to learn how to slow down and not try to go for a layup whenever there's an opportunity or an opposition turnover. Sorry. Foster has better IQ in terms of slowing down and resetting the offense after a turnover. Caden needs to work on better decision-making, still lacking sorely in that department. Yeah, I think like at least moving into the next game, Foster should be getting 30 to 32 minutes, and Caden should be his backup. And I think that's where we're at right now. Because of the defense, because of some of the decision making. Like, I understand we want Caden in there for some of the playmaking, but he's not giving us that. To ACBC's point, he was struggling with his drives, and then the defense isn't there from him. So bring in Saar, let Caleb Foster run the offense, get a little bit more from Cam and Evans, but you supplement it with the defense. And I think Duke's starting to find an identity, which I really like. Swisher doesn't like the 12 turnovers. Agreed, but not the worst. Not the worst. Especially, it was a higher tempo game, so.
It was an ugly game.
It was.
It was. And I think I didn't like the turnovers either, especially the turnover to assist ratio.
Oh, that's more the issue, is that they couldn't create for each other. But 12, you average 10, right? It's not the worst. But I understand where you guys are coming from. GMAD. Saar and Brown had some good defensive plays in the second half, but it was almost like Duke only had 3 players, Cam, Evans, and Foster. Nobody else showed up, and Pat was pretty ineffective tonight. I'm glad you brought that up, because one of the things I didn't understand from a Louisville perspective that I thought Texas Tech did a really good job of is when Foster was driving, nobody was helping. Nobody was coming over to help. And you could help off of Saar and Brown. And nobody was coming to do so. And I would have tried to make Saar hit some shots. So if I'm an opposing team, that's what I would try to do with that lineup. Try to make Saar and Malik score as much as you can. But I do think Malik does a really good job with his screens to free up Evans in particular, which helps him be effective even when he's not scoring. So it's can you make Sarr shoot shots basically, and they didn't force him to do so.
I still think that knowing that he scored Malik had 11 a game offensively at Syracuse,
Right around 9, 10.
that he still has this wide open 8-footer when he's in the middle there, and he could be the guy slipping into the middle and turning around and scoring too. It takes a lot of pressure off of Cam to do it every time and provides another option. So I think he should try it. I mean, rather than see him try the 3-pointer, I'd like to see him try a 2-pointer. I know that doesn't get him to the NBA, but...
Well, I mean, it would help. It would help if he was a little more aggressive. Mike says, lots of resolve tonight. That's the second half performance I like. The boys were poised.
Good line.
Yeah, it was a good line.
The boys were poised.
Yeah, that's good stuff. That's good stuff, Mike. ACBC going back to Caden. Swisher says, at least we're getting free throw practice during games. And Hameni is injured. Has been for a few weeks. Yep. Laura says, Caden will learn. It may take a few more games. I'll take it from Laura says it. It will happen.
She was clearly right about Foster.
Yeah. ACBC, we're going on Nick. Yeah, he's been missing his shots. And talking about maybe Darren instead of Nick. And I think, yeah, the problem, if Darren was Nick's size, it would be easier. But because he's a guard, like, it's hard to get him more playing time. And I think Hamenia is playing right now because he's our backup 4. We don't really have another guy who can play at that spot. And we haven't really been going with the Brown Gangba lineup of late. So it's a little bit tricky because you want to get Nick some rest because he's clearly not right. But I don't know what the options are. Strangely, maybe not strangely, but this would be a great time if Wilkins wasn't redshirting. These would be good minutes for him instead of Hamenia. But I understand it's about his career, not necessarily right now. So hopefully Hamenia can get healthy. Let's see. All right, this is a good one. G-Mad. Hamenia's definitely been hurt. Yeah, not sure what Gangba's problem is. It's almost like he's playing petulant. Things aren't going his way, and he's acting out of frustration.
That's part of it. That is definitely part of it. It's also this lack of aggression and ability to go to the basket. But you're absolutely right that after they call him, after something doesn't go his way, he picks up like a petty foul. And, I get the petulant part.
Which game was it when he got into like the tussle and he ended up with the flagrant because he like hooked the guy? You remember what I'm talking about? Was that Florida?
I remember the play.
Yeah, I don't remember which game it was, but he's had a few instances like this. Now, in this game, that was not his fault, but his reaction to it was bad. His reaction afterwards, picking up his third foul, you just can't do that. But I think more than that, there's times when he's passive Pat, and then there's times where he's aggressive Gangba. And we got a lot of passive Pat in this one. And we're going to need aggressive Gangba as we move forward. Laura asks, let's see. Wait. Yeah, I lost where we are. Man, got a lot of people in the chat. Laura had a good question. I lost it. Okay. Do you think Shire should put CFOS on Boopy for SMU? It's a good question. I gotta watch SMU again to really go through the rest of their starting lineup, and I'll have a better answer for you on the preview. But after tonight, I want Dame Sar on Boopy. I don't know what their other options are off the top of my head, but I want Dame Sar on him because Boopy's like 6 foot. He's really quick, but he's like 6 foot. Let's put some length in. And Dame's pretty quick. He's not strong, that's for sure, but he's pretty quick. So I kind of would like that. Lots of debate on
the whole ABC slash is great.
Yeah. Nick,
Good Swisher.
Yeah, you guys are having some fun in there. Let's see. GMAT says he disagrees with the medals. Sar did well defending, but the result was mostly due to the coaches assigning him to stay on that Louisville shooter and never leave him. Well, yeah. I mean, that was certainly a coaching decision, but Sar executed it. So I understand where you're coming from. That's fair. But I think Sar changed the game. TGNC, Shire flexed his coaching muscle tonight. He sure did.
Sure did.
Sar was good, GMAT says, but without Cam, we would have lost that game several times over. Yeah, and like I said, Cam's graded on a different scale. And also, Cam's defense in the first half was poor again. So we're going to need better defense, and he gave us better defense in the second half. I don't know what it is with him on that end of the court. Laura has a trivia question for you, JD. Do you know what the Duke University was named before they were named Duke University?
Not offhand, but that's a fair question to ask me and not Jack. So, I don't have it off the top of my head, but that would be put the answer further. There it is. Where?
Trinity, I believe.
Though it wasn't Duke, it just hadn't been given money by Duke yet. That's right, because they were given a ton of money to get it going. Wow.
Let's see. Michigan.
Trinity.
Yeah, Michigan almost lost to Penn State. And GMAT says the impressive thing was just how aggressive Foster was all second half. Yeah. Agreed. I know, I want Michigan to be undefeated by the time they play Duke. That's where I want that matchup to be. I hear you, though. Joe M. Foster has been looking huge this season. Noticed that during the summer workout videos. I'm with you, Joe. I noticed that then, too.
Yep.
Swisher says they may not have had Mikal Brown, but it was at Louisville. Agreed.
Yep.
Dan, Duke fan for life. What's going on, Dan? 14-1, 3-0. Duke Hoops, Kansas was another double-digit quad one. Good call, Duke Hoops. You're right. That's a good one. I forgot about that one. Let's see. I'm going to try to pick out a few at this point. Duke Hoops says viewership going up and up. More Duke fans just need to find you guys is all. We appreciate you, Duke Hoops, always with kind words. Thanks for joining us again. Thanks to all you guys for joining us. This has been a lot of fun. That was a lot of fun game to watch, and this has been a lot of fun to talk through.
And when we were watching it, we said, I can't wait to get to the chat because I was looking forward to being with all of you and having your comments and analysis because, Jack and I will be yelling at each other during the game, but it's so much fun to be with all of you afterwards. This has really been a pleasure of mine to do this with Jack and all of you.
Swisher says, I think Evans needs more mid-range shots. Yeah, he actually made one in this game, I remember. But he doesn't shoot very many. I know it's not their philosophy. But he is a guy who can hit them. And we don't have a lot of guys, really many guys at all, who shoot them. So I'm with you, Swisher. Laura Markle says, CFOS all aboard. Right on. Yeah, Swisher says we are missing a solid midi shooter. We don't have a Flag, Khan, and Proctor. Duke needs these battles. Joe M asks, which game feels like the bigger win? Let us know if you guys have any other questions. We've had some good questions from you guys tonight. Really appreciate that. Bigger win at MSU or at Louisville. Part of me feels like this is a more important game in terms of unlocking more of the team's potential. I'm with you, Joe. I said that after the game, that this felt like a bigger win. Even though I think Michigan State's a better team, and that was a really tough, gritty win. And I know Louisville didn't have Mikael Brown. With the way Duke had been playing leading up to this game and the way they played in the first half, to respond like that, I think is a really awesome way for them to, get going here in ACC play.
Especially responding like that on the road against a ranked team. It was great.
Yeah. Let's see. Michael Bakhtiar, hey all, love the comical impersonation of John. Appreciate that. ACBC says we need elite Caden. I like how John is playing him more. Guards win in March. That's a very good point. We lost to Houston, who had incredible guards, Uzan and Sharp. And don't forget Cryer, who killed us in that game. Yeah.
And I think to your point about guards win in March, that's why maybe sometimes to us it's frustrating as he makes certain, he's giving Caden every opportunity, but he knows he needs him if he's going to make a run. So it's a really good point.
Yep.
There it is from Laura.
In Cameron, Duke record versus Louisville is 4-3. So I guess you're right. We should just move the game to the Yum Center. We'll have a slightly better chance.
And the Yum Center is big enough that we could take the entire Cameron Crazies and put them in there, and Louisville will still have the majority of fans. But
That's
maybe
true.
we should do it in the Yum Center. But
That's true. Bozo Boy, Duke. Can't say the rest. Appreciate you. Swisher, this is about the same time last year that Duke started to get it going on both ends. Really good point, Swisher. Really good point. It was about here. And GMAD says, Duke just kind of shut down Louisville that second half. They lost all their energy, but lived by the 3, die by the 3-2. Yes, and also the coaching, I know we a little bit disagree, but the coaching decision and the SAR execution to cut off Conwell and Foster attacking McNeely, the rest of the team aren't great three-point shooters. It's two guys without Brown.
So, yes, live by the 3 and die by the 3, and give all the credit to Shire for making the adjustment to face guard with SAR. But where was the adjustment to what Duke was doing from the Louisville coach? He didn't have a really good answer, clearly.
True. All right. We're going to try to get to a few more of these. Swisher says Foster is going to sleep until Saturday. The rematch is coming up in about 3 weeks. KPGSU, big win. Great to see Foster take over. Duke says, or DDMF9, is it bad parenting if I change my 3-year-old daughter's name to Caleb Foster? No, I would say no. They'll really appreciate it.
Maybe a nickname.
Maybe, yeah, just add a middle name. Add it as the middle name. Swisher says, I just hope Boopy Miller doesn't break Cam Boozer's ankle Saturday. Wilson is still recovering. Duke Hoops appreciates us reading all the comments. Let's see. And Swisher says, big fan of the channel. We're a big fan of you guys. It really helps to get your perspectives because there's things that you guys see that we don't, and that really helps. Laura Markle says, I believe most of the rudeness of fans is usually the students, because at the ACC tournament, most fans were not rude. Most of the UNC fans were around JD's age. None of them were rude.
I think it's funny. It's true that there's an older base of fans that come to the UNC games. They are loud, so maybe they let the students closer to the court, but the majority, you're absolutely right, are this sort of very collegial North Carolina, not going to get too crazy about it, and they put the fans.
The only fan base I got a problem with is Kentucky.
Yes.
We're just being very honest about that. Everyone else, I think, is just fine. Just Kentucky. Their fans they're the worst. Drummer Downing, how's it going? Can't wait to see the Duke Blue Planet episode to see what Shire said at half. That's a great point. We may have to wait a few days, but we'll find out. Swisher says next year it'll be nice having Rippy. When was the last time we had a true point guard of that caliber? Duke Hoop says Duval, which is a good point. Similar style players, downhill, aggressive guards. And Swisher says this game was like 2018 Zion game, but they needed more than 9 minutes. And then they're talking about Rippy. The only thing about Rippy and the guys next year, I'm going to have. Let me see. I just lost my thought or where we are here. But what I was going to say about that is I'm going to have a little bit of a lower expectation for next year's class, just because everything I'm hearing from the high school evaluators is next year's class is not on the same level as this year's freshmen, who have been unbelievable. So I just think we got to be a little don't expect like these guys to be as good as they are this year and be pleasantly surprised rather than looking at it the other way around.
Interesting, Laura. I meant none of them were rude. Okay. We got 2 games. We certainly have a game coming up in UNC. We'll look for it.
Swisher says, off topic, but Flag and Khan got Rookie of the Month in each conference. Khan was a 4-star recruit. That's just madness, you know. And the rookies this year in the NBA have been really good. Khan, I think right now is ahead of Coop for Rookie of the Year. I think it probably is going to change, but right now Khan, he's been incredible. And they just beat the Thunder. And he had 23 points.
Badly beat.
And the thing is, I know the Thunder are not a great moment right now, but Khan, the first time they played them, really struggled. So a really big improvement for Khan there. Jeff Clinton, there is a YouTube post on Shire's halftime speech. Very, very good. He challenged the team on their side. Already? They already have that out there? Duke's social media is the best. I gotta say that. They're awesome.
No, but thank you for putting it in the chat.
We're going to watch that once we're done here. Michael Bakhtiar, good question. Do you think John is still trying to figure out the best 5 or 6 and putting depth development as secondary priority? It's a very good question.
It's a little of both at this point. Yeah. I hate to give a cop-out answer, but it's a little of both. I think he's struggling a little bit to figure it out because while he is hoping for a certain performance from certain players and he doesn't get it, he is reacting to it. And so it's a little struggle as much as to figure out, is he doing it on purpose because of depth or is he doing it because of what's happening?
Yeah. Let's see. All right, I'm going to pick out a few more. We've been at this for an hour. Laura says the answer, Duke's University's name changed occurred in 1924.
I'm not that old, Laura.
I don't know. Sometimes I think it. You used to talk to me when I was younger about the dinosaurs and stuff. I remember that.
It
Let's
was
see.
renamed in honor of the Duke family, particularly Washington Duke and his sons. Thank you.
All right. Let's see. West Campus from GMAD is the Gothic recreation built with the Duke money. It is a really nice campus. A really,
gorgeous.
really nice campus. Yeah, the Swisher says hopefully Louisville will have Brown by the next game. Agreed. ACBC says, fortunately, Cam is a better passer than Ryan Young. No Ryan Young slander here, okay?
The Big Ugly is my nickname for Ryan Young, and I love Ryan Young. When he first, at the beginning of the season, when Ryan was there and he was filling in, and I was thinking, oh my goodness, who is this guy? He was a workhorse. I love Ryan Young. He was doing all the dirty work underneath that basket. So you'll never hear me say an unkind word about Ryan Young.
Yeah. All right. With that, we appreciate everybody joining us tonight. What a win by Duke. What a tale of two halves. We will have the SMU preview out for you guys on Thursday. Be on the lookout for that. Tomorrow, I'll be talking with the Brotherhood Beatdown. He does some fun stuff on TikTok. So we'll be talking a little bit about the season and this game. So we'll have a little special podcast for you guys then.
Let's put a little plug in that what we're trying to do on Monday is after the AP poll comes out. And who joined?
Swisher.
Swisher joined us, which we greatly appreciated. So it's Mondays at 2 that we release that. And any of you that want to jump on that, it's so much fun to have you for this. That would be great. And so it's Mondays at 2 that we will be on the air.
Yeah, and I guess we'll close with this. Swisher saying SMU is ranked now. Have a blessed week to you as well, Laura. And Duke, the only program this week with 2 ranked top 25 matchups this week. They got 1. Can they get 2? Until next time, guys. Peace.
Peace. What?